Museums come in all types and sizes. We have art museums, maritime museums, history museums, science museums, and a plethora of special interest museums. But those are just some of the boring kinds. Some museums are just so much more interesting. Jake the Voice Parr is here with the 10 strangest museums in the world. New York City has its world-famous Museum of Modern Art, or MoMA. Massachusetts has its very own MODA, or the Museum of Bad Art. This museum, with 4 sites in the New England state, is the antithesis of the typical art museum, with its focus on art that is so bad that it can't be ignored. With over 500 pieces of art, the museum prides itself on exhibiting the very worst of the art world. As MODA's co-founder Marie Jackson proudly states, "We are here to celebrate an artist's right to fail gloriously." From bad art, we turn to bad relationships, or rather, the Museum of Broken Relationships, situated in the Croatian capital city of Zagreb. This museum is an ode to broken hearts, broken promises, and broken love. It glories in the aftermath of the broken-down relationship. Everything from installation art depicting shattered love to fluffy toys and other tokens of past love are featured. There have been over 40 exhibitions by the museum in cities all over the globe, because, as we know, broken hearts are universal. It may seem bizarre, but there is a museum that is dedicated to nothing but barbed wire. Situated in the town of La Crosse in the state of Kansas, this museum features over 2,400 different examples and varieties of barbed wire. Known as the Devil's Rope, barbed wire has been credited with taming the Wild West frontiers of the 19th century. The museum tells those stories in great detail. There is another barbed wire museum in Texas, but this one in Kansas is special, if only because the town of La Crosse dubs it the barbed wire capital of the world. From barbed wire, we move to barbed things in the body. By that, we mean a visit to the Meguro Parasitological Museum, if you're ever in Tokyo. Yes, this is a museum dedicated to all things parasitic, and includes a large array of parasites all on display. The museum has 2 floors of specimens of parasites stored in jars of formaldehyde. Specimens on display include nematodes, trematodes, and malaria parasites. If the study of parasitic life forms is your thing, then this museum is definitely for you. However, for the average and casual museum goer, this one may be a bit too much to handle. A medical museum might sound quite innocuous, even rather ho-hum. The Siriraj Medical Museum is packed to the rafters with specimen after specimen of some of the weirdest human medical conditions ever encountered. Think of cross-section torsos and freaky medical conditions in formaldehyde. So while this museum, in the quiet back streets of Bangkok, Thailand, may be quite small, it is anything but dull. In fact, it could be the stuff of your worst nightmares. Perhaps that explains why this is also called the Museum of Death. It may be very small, but the intimate space that is the Museum of Vampires and Legendary Creatures in Paris would please any demon of the night. It was opened up and entirely curated by Jacques Sergent, who is a highly knowledgeable scholar and specialist on the macabre, and is a space dedicated to the research and display of all things to do with vampires and folklore of the occult. It offers a fascinating insight into the ancient obsession with vampires and the occult in the French city, and even showcases a vampire slaying kit. If giant tapeworms, disfigured bodies and showcases, and vampires are not your thing, then why not visit this museum just outside the beautiful city of Bologna in Italy? The Gelato Museum is located at the headquarters of Carpigiani, the ice cream company that has been manufacturing artisanal gelato machines since 1946. This delightful museum offers exhibitions on everything to do with ice cream, not to mention being associated with Carpigiani's very own Gelato University, for those wanting to learn how to make proper ice cream. Thank God for the Italian obsession for food and la dolce vita. And from the sublime, we move to the ridiculous. There are museums all over the world for the oddest of objects, but few come close to being as odd as the British Lawnmower Museum. The Quirky Museum is located in Stockport in the northwest of England and exhibits over 300 models of lawnmowers, some of them over 200 years old. There are even original lawnmowers once owned by celebrities. The museum could be considered the gardening version of a museum for train spotting. As they say, only the British would make something like this. Staying in England, one can veer to the southeast of Maidstone in the country of Kent and find a museum dedicated solely to dog collars. There are over 130 rare and valuable dog collars on display, some of them made of pure gold and precious stones, and spanning an incredible 5 centuries. The museum is located within the splendid grandeur of Leeds Castle, which was once the private property of 6 of England's medieval queens, as well as a palace used by King Henry VIII and his first wife, Catherine of Aragon. The English do love their dogs. Thankfully, not all strange museums have to be odd or bizarre or even gross. This underwater museum in the Cancún National Marine Park features no less than 500 enormous sculptures, many of them life-size and all situated on the ocean floor at depths of between 9 and 20 feet. The sculptures were mostly done by British sculptor Jason de Queiroz Taylor, as well as 5 Mexican sculptors. Commenced in 2009 and completed in 2013, it today must rank as one of the most unusual and most beautiful museums in the world. Those then are 10 of the strangest museums from around the world. For more top lists just like this, be sure to leave a like and subscribe if you haven't already. Don't forget to check out our other top lists. Thank you very much for watching, and thanks for learning.